Hi, everybody. We're back to recommend more titles and suggestions for books you can read for free from the Carmel Clay Public Library. I'm Catherine, and I'm joined today by Carly, Barb, and Susan. Today, we're going to be sharing some armchair travel titles from the library's print and digital collections. These books have a strong sense of place, and they can help us live vicariously through the travels of these real and sometimes fictional characters as they explore places near and far. Carly, why don't you get us started today with your book?
Thanks, Catherine. So the book I'm suggesting today is called Braver Than You Think, Around the World on the Trip of My Mother's Lifetime by Maggie Downs. It's available on Libby, Overdrive, and Hoopla as an ebook. And it's about Maggie Downs, whose mother's condition is drastically declining due to Alzheimer's disease. And Maggie decides to travel to the places which her mother dreamed of visiting around the world. Her travel spans the globe from Bolivia to Egypt to Thailand, and she's picking up temporary volunteer positions with ecological and wildlife nonprofits. She's couch surfing, and she's coming face to face with the daily lives of people from other cultures and backgrounds. Along the way, Maggie begins to work through the loss of her mother, which began years ago as Alzheimer's made her daughter unrecognizable to her. This is an unusual travel memoir. Although there are moments of humor, there are also moments of emotional growth and pain as Maggie shares memories of her mother and the grief she is only beginning to process. This part of the story makes Maggie's journey even more inspiring to read because she's balancing her emotions with the unpredictability of her travel experiences. The vibrant travel descriptions and the honest vulnerability that the author shares would make this a good suggestion for readers of Wild by Cheryl Strayed and Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. This very new book is my pick for armchair travel fans, Braver Than You Think by Maggie Downs, available now on Libby and Hoopla as an ebook. Barb, what are you reading?
Thank you, Carly. The book that I chose to share with you today is a book that is a coast-to-coast book about the United States, and it's called The Way I Heard It by Mike Rowe. You might recognize Mike from the TV show Dirty Jobs, where he traveled around the country doing, well, dirty jobs. Since then, he's been doing a podcast called The Way I Heard It. In his podcast, Mike highlights stories of people who are famous and not so famous. Some are funny, some are heartwarming, and some are a bit racy. This book is a compilation of his favorites. There are 35 tales in this book that can be read alone, so you can pick up the book anytime and put it down anytime you want. However, when I read the book, I found myself saying every time, well, I'll just read one more. In fact, after I would finish each chapter, I found myself Googling to find out more about the person he just told us about. At the end of each tale, Mike talks about events in his own life, like when he performed in a barbershop quartet, or when he worked the night shift at QVC. His smart observations and charming demeanor make this a very pleasant read. Who knows, you might even learn something. This title is available as a print book, an audiobook, an ebook, and an audio CD. I listened to the audiobook, which I highly recommend. However, if you choose to read the book yourself, I have a feeling you'll probably read it in your head, hearing the voice of Mike Rowe. So my choice for you would be Mike Rowe's The Way I Heard It. Susan, how about you share your book next?
Sounds good. I think we need to head to Charleston, one of my very favorite cities. It's in the 1990s. Grady Hendrix brings us the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. In this fun read, we meet Patricia Campbell. She's a busy mother and wife, underappreciated and overworked. The highlight of her month? Book club. But this is not any ordinary book club. This book club really loves true crime novels and scary horror novels. In fact, one of the husbands thinks it's actually a Bible study. It's not. So all is well in the neighborhood, and then a stranger moves in. At first, Patricia thinks he's super attractive and very charming, but something is definitely off, and she's onto him. Children start going missing, but she can't convince anybody to really help her find out what's going on. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? What is he? So, not to worry, the book club backs her up. So you definitely want to check out this book. I'm not a huge horror genre fan, but this was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And it also hits on some very timely topics of racism, sexism, classism. So while this seems like a kind of a fluffy horror novel, it actually has some depth to it, and I really think it's worth everybody's read. So check out Grady Hendrix, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. You can get it in print, in audio, and also in the Overdrive ebook. Back to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Susan. That's a great book. And if you've had a trip to the South that maybe this summer has been canceled or postponed, that's a great book to make you feel like you're really there. I have to admit, I'm not a big memoir reader, but I really tried to push myself outside of my comfort zone with this. And the book that I'm recommending to you for our armchair travel picks is called Lands of Lost Borders, A Journey of the Silk Road by Katie Harris. When she was a young girl, Harris really wanted to be an explorer or an adventurer. And she grew up to find that she was going to be an explorer of space. So while she was studying at MIT and Oxford, scientist Katie Harris, along with her longtime best friend Mel, decided to embark on an epic quest to cycle the entire length of the Silk Road. Says Harris of this trip, "I wanted to bike the Silk Road as an extension of my thesis at Oxford, to study how borders make and break what is wild in the world, from mountain ranges to people's minds, and how science, or more specifically wilderness conservation, might help bridge those divides." So together, Katie and Mel explore some of the remotest places on Earth. This book really isn't about charting off-road locations as some armchair travel books are. It's more about the deep need that humans feel to explore. And I know so many of us feel cooped up and just have that travel itch, but you can really feel that in this book. It touches upon our connection to nature and the history of science and human exploration and philosophy and even female friendships, as it spans the 10 months and over 6,000 miles that they spent together cycling. My legs just hurt thinking about it. Lost Borders is perfect, similar to Carly's pick for fans of Wild or Lab Girl because of the science element, and it is currently available as an ebook in the library's Overdrive digital collection, and as a digital audiobook with our Hoopla collection, and as a print book in the library's catalog. So I think that's about it for us for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy reading.